Ma'am, do you see any attendees so far? Yes,
I
we
see
do.
14
Perfect.
live out of,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
I
yes.
see some.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. They'll be joining. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this webinar. And we are really looking forward to interacting with you. I have two distinguished panelists here with me today, and I'll be introducing them shortly. But if you can hear me and see us on your screen, quickly type yes in the chat box so we know that I am audible and all of us are visible on your screen. Good evening, everyone. It's great having you. We are seeing a quick turnaround, and that's excellent.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, yes, yes.
Perfect.
Okay, good. We're getting a lot of yeses. That's great.
Absolutely.
Abhishek, yeah, the Ladijega that everybody should have sent to everybody on their chat because then it becomes tough for us to answer all the questions otherwise.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's some important pointers for everyone throughout the webinar. Please keep sending in your questions, and it'll be great if you can mark those with a question mark. You can see a small round box over there, so you can do that. So we can pick up the questions and keep answering them on a real-time basis. The three of us will be talking to you today and answering your questions, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. We also have the Mindler team online who will be answering your questions today. So please feel free to come forward with all the possible questions you might have about this interesting domain of management. I'll quickly introduce the topic today that we'll be covering, and then we shall begin shortly.
Good evening, Dr. Rao. Thank you. How nice of you to say that. Very kind of you. Just to add to what Abhishek was saying, Mindler team is online to help answer your queries. So don't hold back. Ask us questions. I think apart from what is the meaning of life, we'll probably be able to answer most of them for you. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
But I do request that you please put send to everybody in your chat mode. Otherwise, if
Right.
it comes in a private chat to any one of us, because while we're speaking, it might be difficult for me to or Abhishek to answer simultaneously at this. So it might, it could, we might miss the question, and we'd like to answer your question for you, right? So just please make sure it's marked sent to everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and great. Go ahead, Abhishek.
Okay, so I'll quickly introduce the topic we have. I know most of you are aware about it, but just to quickly brief you on that, we'll be covering today the world of management as a whole, what kind of future aspects the career domain has, how it has evolved over the years, and what kind of future prospects students can look forward towards. So it'll be a very interesting conversation for sure. As I mentioned already, I have great panelists here with me who have rich experience over the decades in the industry, and they will literally answer all the possible questions you would have about the management domain. And I hope you get the right answers for them today. So please feel free. I'm re-emphasizing on that. Please start us with questions. We are more than happy to entertain any possible questions you might have. Um, so, so without further ado, I'll introduce our guest here with us today, and then we can begin. First, I'll begin with Dr. Nilesh Khare, as you can see on the screen. Dr. Khare is an academician, corporate trainer, CEO of Coach, advisory board member, and a management consultant. Dr. Khare brings over 24 years of experience spanning across consulting, social entrepreneurship, corporate life, and academia in India, the USA, and the UAE. Dr. Khare is passionate about quality applied education, continuous improvement, institution building, critical, logical, and scientific thinking, business problem solving, and teaching and training in strategy and related subjects. He earned his PhD in strategy from Fisher College of Business, the Ohio State University in the United States. He taught there first as a graduate scholar and then as a faculty. He's a PG BBA in finance and marketing, a CFA charter holder, and holds a BE from MNIT Jaipur. He was awarded the gold medal in CFA from the Beta Group and earned national scholarships. He has also taught in the Middle East with American University and Abu Dhabi University. Prior to his trips with academics, he worked with management consulting firms such as PricewaterhouseCoopers and Henley Center in India and KPMG South Africa. Currently, he is the Dean Faculty of Management and Commerce, where he leads two schools, Jagrant Lake City Business School and JLU School of Commerce and Economics. So it's indeed an honor to have you here with us.
Pleasure's all mine.
And next, I have Ms. Shilpa Singh. Shilpa is a coach with a flair of humor and storytelling. She's packaging over 22 years of incredible work experience in career guidance, life coaching, HR management, and teacher training. Shilpa brings her holistic overview of the entire education building spectrum from schools to organizations. Her youthful energy and bubbling enthusiasm is highly infectious and makes learning a fun endeavor. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you, Abhishek.
And lastly, it's me, Abhishek. I am a management graduate from University College London. I'm worked as a career coach in Mindler and specialized in international education. So without further ado, ma'am, I hand it over to you to start the proceedings.
Thank you very much. So kind of you. Welcome, everybody. I'm hoping once again, that I am audible and visible to everyone. It's good to have everybody here. What I wanted to cover today with elements related to bachelors of management, or even so, I see a question that Yogesh has put down specifically where we're talking about BBA, BBS, or BMS. So the first thing that I'd like to be able to explain to everyone is the Bachelor of Management Studies, the Bachelor of Business Administration, or the Bachelor of Business Studies is pretty much the same thing. It's nomenclature that is slightly different. There will be minor tweaks to curriculum that will be covering a little bit of difference in each. But for the most part, what the curriculum covers is pretty much similar. So what does that curriculum cover? We will cover in detail with you at a later stage when Abhishek will be covering that, but I'll touch on it a little bit. When we're looking at management education, why is it important for us to think about and know about management? Simply because there isn't anything where management does not exist, right? And management is in everything. So whether you are running an organization, whether it is a startup, whether it is managing a home, whether it is managing a fruit stall, okay, every single thing has management in it. What does management therefore mean? The simple thing that management means is, how do you plan and execute your business decisions or any decisions in a systematic manner? So what does can you run a business, or can you have a business or be part of an organization without a management degree? Absolutely you can. There's no denying that. Like, can you have a business and run your own business without a BBA or an MBA? Yes, you can. But what does the management degree then do for you? The management degree teaches you system. It teaches you process. It teaches you best practices. It teaches you how to not reinvent the wheel, right? So you're not making similar mistakes that people may have already made and learned from, and you're not making the mistakes of that in your business. So you learn from past experiences, you learn about what is important right now, and management therefore encompasses almost everything. Management will encompass how to handle money. Management will encompass how to handle goods and products. Management will encompass how to sell goods and products, how to move goods and products, how to produce goods and products. Management will encompass elements like how to handle the most important resource there is, which is people. So if you don't have the right people, there's going to be a problem. So you could have the most world-class telephone, you could have the most world-class laptop, but if you don't have the right people in your organization, your idea is not going to go anywhere. So for me, as a human resources professional, one of the most important things that comes forward, which I want to talk to all of you about, is what are the skill sets you're going to need as you go forward into any work environment, especially when it comes to management, but any work environment. And these skills are clearly and completely related to management. All right. So the first thing you need to be able to have is strong communication skills. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be public speaker and give big speeches. It means you do need to be strong in how you communicate your ideas with clarity. The word is clarity here. All right. Does your communication skill have anything to do with only verbal communication? That's one large part of it, yes, but your written communication also needs to be strong. Why? Your written communication needs to be strong simply because of this, that you are going to be communicating by writing emails, you're going to be communicating by writing memos, you're going to be writing business plans, you're going to be pitching your idea to senior management or maybe to a VC. You have to be clear in what you want to say. You have to be clear in what you want to be able to convey. If you are using the wrong words, you're punctuating correctly, you're not writing properly, what does it do? It gives the wrong impression about you and your capability. So you have to build on communication skills. Your verbal communication also needs to be important simply because of the fact that you are going to be talking to people all day to get your ideas across, to give instructions. Tomorrow you will be team leaders, you will be organization leaders. You should be able to speak with as much clarity as possible. So the first thing you need to be able to work on is communication skills. The second thing that is very important, and of course Dr. Khare will help add to this, I'm sure, when he speaks as well, is as a human resources person, for me, anybody who I hire, it has to be very important that they have awareness and the ability to connect the dots. All right, which means your GK, in the sense of that you're reading the paper, you know about what's happening in the world, you know what's going on in different things. So not just, if you're a science student, it's not just that you should only know about science. It's not, if you're a commerce student, it doesn't mean you only know about commerce. You also need to be able to know what's happening in the world in general, because imagine all of our businesses, no matter what business we were in, including our education business, got impacted by what? It got impacted by biology and a pandemic, right? So if we were not aware on how to be able to handle or know and have awareness of it, we have to be able to understand the interconnectedness of different things. And your awareness and your ability to connect the dots, analytical thinking, the important thing that happens then is you're able to foresee problems, you're able to plan accordingly, and therefore you always sound like you are ahead of everybody else who you are working with, because you are far more aware. So ability to connect the dots and awareness of the world is also an important thing. The third thing that I think it's very important for people to remember when we're looking at any kind of work is there are no shortcuts, and you need to be able to work hard no matter what field you choose, and in management specifically. So it does not really matter what stream you're from. You could be PCB, you could be PCM, you could be commerce with maths, you could be commerce without maths, you could be humanities. You can work in management, because even if you choose tomorrow to start a tattoo parlor, you need to know management. If you need to be able to be a doctor and run your own hospital, you need to know management. If you want to be, and you still need to know the ability to manage, because tomorrow, even as a doctor, you will run a team, right? You could have people reporting to you in the long run. You have administrative things you have to do. So please remember, management exists everywhere. And these key critical skills become important. So as an HR person, when I interview people, for me, it becomes very important to be able to see people who have the ability to have a conversation about multiple topics, who have the ability to know what's happening around the world, who know how to be able to connect the dots, who are able to speak clearly, express themselves clearly, who have interests other than academics, who do different things, because then they're able to understand themselves as people a little bit better. And who have the ability to be able to understand the situation, analyze it, and be able to look at it. So it's an important thing to be able to do that. I'm seeing points about internships, etc., coming up, and so any chances you get to do internships, even in class 12, or towards the end of class 11 or 12, or in the first year of college, please do it. You should do those internships, because internships are a brilliant way to get experience. So communication skills, 1, analytical thinking and ability to connect the dots, 2. Third is the ability to know that there are no shortcuts, you need to work hard. And 4th, don't be in a hurry to switch as quickly as possible based only on one parameter, which is, for the most part, unfortunately, for a lot of people, ends up being money sometimes. So don't do that. The second thing you need to remember is every single role is going to have some elements that are boring. Okay, you have to learn to do those as well. So you have to know the basics before you do the fancy stuff. Those are important skills for me to be able to see when I hire someone. I like to be able to see people who've done co-curricular activities and they've stuck to them for a long time, which shows me perseverance. I like to be able to see the ability that they have maybe done and taken part in activities where they may not have had leadership roles, but they were participating. That shows me teamwork. All right, and the ability to, wherever you have had a chance to convey or show leadership, to be able to say that, okay, I took a leadership position, and to not be afraid to express your thoughts. So in the workplace today, there are people who would require, there are organizations, and I see this, and they require people who are fearless in being able to express their opinions, fearless in being able to express their ideas, who aren't afraid to be, to be able to say that, this needs to be done, or there's a different way of doing this. And when you are covering that element of fearlessness, it's very important, because that's what takes organizations forward. If every single entrepreneur, every single company had been scared of trying something new, we wouldn't have had all the amazing products and services we do now. Right, so those are some important skills I did want to talk about and cover with all of you, and be able to to look at those elements. So BBA, BMS covered the same thing, slight changes in nomenclature. To recap, Important skills to remember for the future will be, for sure, 120% work on your communication skills, your ability to connect the dots. So even if you're playing logical reasoning puzzles or games, that will also help you. If you read detective novels, it's a great way to build your analytical skills because you try to figure out what was happening. Read outside of just your area of study, do different things, learn different things so that you have awareness and the ability to be able to, to be able to understand that you need to work hard and that you need to be committed, and that there are the basics that you need to learn in everything before you start and take off and fly. And I usually have a lot of people who ask me, how can I become the CEO? So I always say that you start your own company, you call yourself king emperor of the universe, it doesn't matter, but you need to be able to work hard before you get to CEO. A CEO is somebody who runs their organization. So once you learn a management degree, it teaches you those skills. So management is everywhere in every single thing. So that's an important thing to do. Abhishek, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, ma'am. And in fact, there's one thing you've helped me to bridge the gap to what I was going to talk about. One important thing students ma'am mentioned was that you need to begin as with the basics and then move to the fancy stuff. That's something which is very important. So what I want to cover is I will talk about the most unconventional domains in management. To be very honest, some of you might be aware about them, some of you might not be, but these are all prevalent, and you will be surprised as I walk you through that these are all pervasive, all existent, and they're not really new to me, but they might be new in certain economies, but they have been flourishing and doing really well. A couple of the students have asked me that as well, that what are the, what are the domains people are unaware about. So I'll cover those right away. I'll start with something which is something interesting. I was thinking of healthcare first, but let's just give it a rest for a while and we'll cover that later. I'll start with fashion management. Now, when we speak of fashion, it's all fancy, all trendy, what is happening in the industry. We all like to talk about that. We all like to see what brands are doing. But to be very honest, fashion management is just about three things. And I say it with a lot of confidence simply because I have worked in the industry and I've seen that these things are all the way more important. We look at the biggest of the brands, but these things will lie common to all of them. The first thing is to provide the right product at the right time. The next is at the right place. And the last thing is at right, anticipating what is required and then delivering that. To be very honest, most of the successful fashion brands you see, this is what they do. But the only way they can do that is if they have a right personnel, a right team delivering that. So we need a fashion manager to govern that. There's so many different elements we look about, but do we ever realize that there is an entire team working towards everything that is happening? I'll walk you through a small story and how this will work. It is more like a journey how fashion management really works. For instance, I know that there's a fashion designer who's working towards all the major designs, preparing the clothes for all the fashion shows. There are 4 of them throughout the year. There's an entire team of marketing, public relations, making sure that all the products are being advertised. There's great campaigns happening. There are fancy advertisements. People are being talked about. They get celebrities to advertise for them and wear their clothes, and they have fashion shows, everything. But do we realize that there's so much work happening behind the scenes, right from supply chain, operations, delivering everything? I mean, sales is an important aspect, but what are the channels we look at? Omni-channel management as a whole is a whole different domain, which basically means you integrate all the possible networks, and that is how you bring a network into picture. But who is governing all of that? There's one person who is in charge of everything, and that is the person who's holding a management role. To be very honest, that is the most difficult job. And this brings me back to what ma'am said about basic to fancy. Now I have actually seen 2 kinds of managers who are leading these brands and working across it. One can be someone who's coming from a different exposure, very different industry, and then has the management degree and leading from the front. Doing really good job at that. But I have only seen the person excel who has made it from the bottom, has climbed the corporate ladder, worked in different aspects, observed people succeeding in that line, and then build on their skills. That is how they become successful in this domain. So, of course, it is a very fancy industry. There are a lot of perks to it, but it involves a lot of hard work. And to be very honest, you might be concerned that a lot of times parents are concerned. We have addressed those concerns that this is not a very reliable industry. I totally understand the concern. But if you know what you're doing and if you're willing to work hard, you're definitely going to move across and succeed in any possible domain. So this is one aspect. Moving on to fashion management, something closely related, which moves on to other industries, communications management. Now, communication, like man is talking about, communication is an important aspect of whatever we do. As a managing professional or coming from any different domain, I need to be able to express my ideas. Until unless I'm going to do that, my ideas are worth nothing. That is something very important. I can be the brightest mind, the sharpest person in the room, but that is no good until unless I have a very strong communication channel, a communication network, so I can put across my message not only to my clients, but also to all the people I'm working with. Because I need to have one common communication channel to give the order to get things done. So communication becomes an important aspect. Now this takes me back to the fashion and luxury domain again. For example, public relations was just considered term where celebrities are managed. Celebrity management was the only thing that we're talking about in communication management. But now, even, and I'll just talk about India for now, because in the last 5 years, I think the latter half of the decade, we have observed PR industry grow like anything, which is all an extension to communication management. For example, if you all know about this brand, a very famous Japanese brand called Uniqlo, before entering the country, they already had around 100 employees hired in India 2018, but they only launched in India later half of 2019-20. Why do you think they had those many employees already on roll since 2018? 2 years it took them to establish and get into the country. The only way they could do that was they had a communication management team, a PR team to have everything in order, who was making sure what is the market looking like, how will we get their foot in, because it was a whole different domain. It wouldn't have been possible if they did not have a communication network in place. So this is a very rich and advanced domain, which is growing like anything with great opportunities. Even if you look at the times during COVID-19 and things have gone virtual, it's only through the communication network and the people working in the industry who are able to put it across, help the clients out, and manage everything that is going on and transition it to a virtual world. So communication management is another important domain. Next thing I want to move forward with is retail management as a whole. So when I talk about departmental stores and getting goods available for consumers, it is all it is all part of retail. If I'm talking about some of the biggest department stores in the world, or even if I'm talking about some of the brands which are working in the retail domain, or even if I'm talking about Procter and Gamble, for that matter, Coca-Cola and Pepsi, some of the biggest retailers in the world. But just tell me something: if I was manufacturing the product and there was any way the customer could get right away, that doesn't happen, right? We have a number of middlemen who are working in the industry, from supply chain, operations, marketing, sales, advertising. There's so many different people involved. The only team that is managing them is the management in themselves. They have to make sure that each and everything is in proper order. Even if I have a suppliers network, that has to be intact. What if one supplier forgets to, or forgets to deliver, or there's some discrepancy? They're not, for example, the borders are closed right now. If my supplier was in a particular country, I cannot reach through. I need to have a proper network. The managers are the most worried all the time. On that note, there's a very interesting article I read very recently by Mr. Puneet Ranjan, who is the global CEO of Deloitte India. He mentioned that since the world has gone virtual, the job has become all the way more difficult for the management than the employees. And I totally reckon with that simply because it has become all the way to make sure that the work is being done properly, efficiently, and the clients are being catered to, be it any industry. End of the day, you all understand the goal is for any organization to entertain the clients to make sure they are getting the product they deserve. But you don't, for example, if I do something wrong today, it anyways comes down to my management because they are responsible for whatever I'm doing. So it becomes all the way more difficult for management. The accountability is the highest when you are moving up the ladder. Another important domain I'll talk to you about is healthcare management. So when I say healthcare, I mean public administration, I mean public health administration, I mean hospital management, which is in itself a whole different domain. We have observed that we are watching this every day and seeing how some hospitals are doing an amazing job at handling the patients who are affected by this dreadful pandemic, but some hospitals are not literally caring about the patients, throwing away the dead bodies. It's literally a sorry sight. But the ones who are succeeded are the ones who have a strong leadership, a strong management team, who is governing them in every step of the way. Now, these people can be doctors who went to management later because they understand things very well. They know how a hospital is run because that's all they've seen through their years in residency and then practitioners and then attending. They know how it works. But I can come from a whole different perspective as well. As long as I know how to get things done, I have the qualification, I have the experience. Healthcare management is a very popular domain, and believe you me when I say this, you are witnessing altogether. Biology as a whole will come across as the strongest domain. Even when we're talking about the medicine, today itself, 3 new drugs have come out. One from Cipla, one was the day before from Glen Pharma and Glenmark, sorry. And again, there's Baba Ramdev has again claimed that Patanjali has claimed that there's some other another drug. It's again biology and medicine that will grow. That means a lot of opportunities for the management domain there as well. Another important field which we all like is sports. We all love playing sports, but there is something working behind the teams we watch and admire, behind the sports personalities we watch and admire. I'm not sure if you're aware about this. Novak Djokovic, the number one tennis player in the world, has just tested positive for COVID-19. He was playing a tournament which was very controversial because this disease is out there and a lot of people get affected. Right now, he hasn't come to the news. He just sent a message across, which is management team who handles his work and operations, who are facing the heat from people and literally answering everyone. So sports management is a very important domain as well. We've all watched IPL, right? We all see the players and everything that's happening in the life, but we forget this entire team governing that. It's a very interesting domain altogether. Lastly, I will talk about hospitality and luxury management together. These are very rich and extensive domains. And when I mean luxury, I don't mean fashion brands. Luxury is way extensive. It extends to hotels and resorts, hospitality for that matter, and hospitality is all pervasive. Be it in a restaurant, be it in a hospital, hospitality is everywhere. And coming from a country where we actually worship and practice Atiti Devo Bhava, luxury and hospitality is at the core of our values. So it's a very rich domain. We can come from any particular domain and end up working from it. I'll give you an example. I particularly met a consultant from McKinsey. He has worked in McKinsey 5 years. Right now, he is one of the leading sales consultants at Chanel in India. Can you imagine coming from a whole different background, a whole different education domain, went on to pursue luxury? Simply because she had the expertise. She had the skills which ma'am was talking about. So anything is possible in the domain of management because it is that rich. It allows you that flexibility. Now, these were some of the domains people haven't heard about. Even if they have, they don't know. I'll quickly summarize that students' possibility is literally extensive. You don't have to worry. When you get in the world of management, it's not a safe world. And I hate hearing this from people when they come and tell me that management is a safer option. To be very honest, it's not. You're taking a big risk because you're not aware, not sure about what you want to do, and you discover. And the biggest advantage of management is, I think, which my guests will definitely agree because they have so much exposure and they've seen it from themselves. And look at their experience. Being Shilpa ma'am, who's working education and human resource management all these years. Being a Dr. Khare, who has extensively worked across several different domains coming from a management background. I have two examples right here from you. So you can literally, fathom from that what I'm talking about. A next thing I want to cover before I get Dr. Khare and ask him a few questions and take his view is about how different management institutions are looking at the kind of courses they have and what kind of entrance exams they offer and what goes into preparing for them. Like ma'am has covered already, BBA, BMS, any kind of degree, it's the nomenclature, the degree program is all the most same. It's just about, a module or different depending on the university and what they emphasize on, that's it. But the courses are primarily the same. So if I talk about the leading institutes in India, be it the IIM Indore and IIM Rohtak at undergrad level, or be it Marcy be it Jargon Lake City, which we'll hear about today, and about the course, be it any other management school, be it DU, JAC or Sharif today, some of them were asking questions about it. The entrance exam is very similar in terms of what is required. And students, believe you me, all the top management schools in India will require you to give an entrance. They are not just satisfied with the merit. And all for the right reasons. They want to understand that you are bringing something else to the table. You have the ability to, get through an entrance exam, give an interview, and then come to the table. Because every other person is securing 95% these days. I know it's not easy, but that is how it is. That is what is happening. How are you better than the rest? And I want to see what else you bring to the table. What have you done? Like co-curriculars and extracurriculars are an important aspect. We want to see leadership. What kind of initiative you've taken? I'll quickly cover some aspects about aptitude tests and how they can be built upon. I won't take a lot of time because I have a lot to ask for and take his views on management altogether. So first thing that they want to ask you in your entrance exam for management is quantitative ability. They want to see how good are you with numbers. Because to be very honest, if I'm looking at management, finance, accounting, any related domain, which is an extension of management, it requires numbers. Everything I need to do will require numbers. It's fine. It's okay if I'm not great at math, but I need to have a decent understanding. I don't want you to be Srimati Shakuntala Devi. That doesn't happen. None of us are. But we can be at least decent enough and build our skills. And to be very honest, students, if you work hard, these skills can be acquired. You are young. You're not as old as we are, and you can, acquire those skills at this stage if you practice. Right? Ma'am is laughing at this. Right. So when the next thing is general English. Now, students, this is very important. When we speak of the language, you might be like, okay, why am I talking about English? We've been brought up and taught in the best school possible, I'm sure. and we have the entire education done in English. But does that mean that we've acquired everything and we've learned enough? Does that mean the knowledge we've acquired already in the language, is that enough? That we have all these years to improve on that. And to be very honest, if you wake up today and be like, okay, today I want to practice English, doesn't happen that way. I want to work on my vocabulary, work on my communication, work on how I write, because professional communication is very important, and that doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. If I want to build on my vocabulary, I need to build a habit of start reading newspapers. If I don't like newspapers, I can start with magazines. I can start with a section I like. I can start with sports, lifestyle, fashion, whatever I might prefer. That is completely fine. Let's put it this way: if I read one article a day, that article might have around 100 words at least, right? And I pick up 5 different new words. I open a dictionary. I make that effort. I end up remembering 2 of them. That's great. I have learned 2 words today, 365 days in a year, or 366 in a leap year. Now you can do the math and understand I have learned minimum 700 words in a year, which is, I feel, is a great progress. Now imagine doing this every year. I know we're not getting to Shashi Tharoor's vocabulary, nobody's beating that, but at least we are getting better every day. I think that is the goal. So as in when you can start on something, it's great. Read anything you're comfortable with. You don't like reading a book, it's completely fine. Whatever you like. But it should be good. It shouldn't be Chetan Bhagat. Right? Next thing is research and analytical skills. Now this is very important because they won't test you on how you critically think and solve problems. If I want to get into management, I should be able to solve problems because that is what they're looking for. So there are a lot of skills you can build. You can practice puzzles. You can solve Sudoku. The different kind of activities there. You can write to us. We'll give you an extensive resource list. Believe you me, you will be tired of doing this. The list won't end. There's so many different activities. There's so many applications you can look at. There are online courses to build aptitude. What more do you want? And some of them are even free. That is the best way. Lastly, the thing is general awareness and general knowledge for that matter. That is, I think, even if it's not for an entrance, it's required. What is happening in the world now is all the way more important than anything else. Simply because if you're not aware what is going on, I think what is the point of living in this era? We are living at such an amazing time. To be very honest, and I mean it when I say this. Never in our life we were challenged this way. We have risen to a challenge. We are going virtual in every possible way. I love this saying, Mr. Sundar Pichai, of course, he's one of the most persons who made us proud as Indians. He's leading Google and Alphabet today. 2 weeks ago, he was giving a commencement speech at one of the universities in US. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name. He said, unless we are challenged and put in a difficult spot, we never make progress. So this is the time where we can make progress. The only thing is what we make out of it. I know we are all tense. There's a new term now. People are tired of the pandemic, and people are having a pandemic suffering, which is a whole different new term I came across today. But the idea is, it's up to us. Can we be pessimistic about it or see it as an opportunity? Similarly, when I look at management is all about opportunity. Now, quickly, I'll get thrown into the picture and take his opinion about what he wants to say about the domain of management. Please, sir, over to you.
Wonderful. So, do you have questions, or do you want me to actually just talk about the thing that I just picked up in the conversation?
We want to hear from you, and then we'll have questions for you.
Okay, wonderful. So, a few things that I would want to emphasize before we actually go on to question answer sessions, and I would also want to talk about some of the questions that I saw on the chat box regarding the programs. We might differ, and I think it's a good idea to actually kind of put our differences also on the table.
Absolutely.
So the first thing that I would say, wonderful comments by both Shilpa and Abhishek. So you now know what we need to do, right? So communication, you have heard about communication, you have heard about awareness, you have heard about the hard work, you have heard about the ability to connect the dots. You also heard from Abhishek about several industries where he resonated as to how these things are going to be critical, important as you think about work. The one thing so I'm going to give you two other things which are somewhere overlapping these things, and I would also want to talk about. I can also see several people are actually asking about amazing courses and other kinds of things that they would do to get into. So I would want to give you two things related to the skill sets. Think about them, read about them. They would actually get you to the better solutions that you might have at this point in time. And then I would also want you to think about the framework that would actually allow you to think through things. Sometimes you want to outsource our thinking to someone, and this life doesn't work that way. Everyone is unique. There is no best course out there for everyone. You have the best course for you, but then somebody else might not actually like that course, and that may not be the best for that particular person. So this generally asking best scores itself is actually an anomaly. It's not going to work this way. Okay. So the first thing I would actually talk about, I would actually put a lot of these skills in one bucket, and I would call them cognitive skills. So the analytical skills, interpretation, connecting dots, maybe I would actually take the awareness there, and I would actually put them in a bucket called cognitive skills. About communication, I think Shilpa did talk about that we need variety of different things, not just about the speaking abilities, but also writing and other kinds of things. Communication is also about listening.
Yeah.
Understanding the EQ part in the communication is extremely important. And I think we are all lifelong learner. I still learn a thing or two sometimes about the EQ part in communication, discovering yourself. Who are you as a communicator? What are your fears? What are your strengths? Where you are genuine, where you're not so genuine, and then coming out from a very secure place in your communication. Now that becomes very important. So don't think communication only as the language abilities.
Yeah.
That is important. That's a hygiene factor. But then communication actually becomes better when you begin to think about the purpose of communication, the EQ as it gets triggered in you and someone else who is actually involved in the communication, whether it's a team or individual. So I think about communication from that side. So I talked about cognitive skills, talked about communication. I'll also give you one more term, which is an expanded version of the cognitive skills. It adds few more skills. It's called executive functioning skills.
Okay. Nice.
Now, I particularly see in youngsters, where the new undergrad who actually come into our undergrad programs, and then even the MBAs for that matter, one of the biggest challenge for this generation in terms of their ability to learn quickly. So they have lots of information, and they are probably good at finding information. But the biggest challenge is their inability to reflect. So if you learn to do that, you are going to differentiate yourself among your peers very easily. Now, and then that requires focus. You have, Abhishek, you're right? I mean, you're very young. I can completely understand that you're living in an exciting time. I agree with it. But one of the biggest challenge for your generations or the generation that's coming in terms of the people who are in 11th, 12th, or it's still at school, the biggest challenge that they have to face is how are they going to control this lure of distraction? It's just a click away. Right? And then, so you are actually, this laptop that you have or the devices that you have, it's like a double-edged sword. And you have to be extremely careful. So read about executive functioning skills. It talks about the focus, and it talks about the working memory, how you actually keep thinking about where your current focus is, how you get distracted and you come back, how you create flexibility in your working area. And that brings the ability, and then reflection with it, the awareness, other kind of things definitely help. So I just wanted to add. So other than the things that other people said, I would just want to review with you. Put the bucket as cognitive skills, expand communication beyond just merely language and communication, get into the EQ-based communication. And then the third thing, think about executive functioning skills that actually talks about how you manage yourself while managing others. So everybody thinks, I realize that somebody actually said, management is managing people tactfully, managing men tactfully. Well, it's also about managing yourself tactfully.
Yeah.
Right? You actually miss out on that. Okay.
Absolutely.
So this is wonderful. Let me come back to a few of the questions that I saw on the chat box. So Shilpa, with due respect, I would want to differ. Our BNS program and then the BBA honors program and the BBA program are substantially different.
Wonderful. That's great. I'd like to know the differences. That's
okay,
wonderful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And you're right. In several places, they are merely nomenclature.
Yeah.
People are, but then in our case, it's not. Our BNS program is actually mini MBA. We are the only institute other than IIM Indore that actually provide undergrad education with forward-based cases, business simulations. And so our BNS program is extremely rich. It's like the way the BNS would actually happen in anywhere in the top-notch universities abroad. I used to teach at Ohio State. Fisher College of Business is one among the 20 schools in the US, right? It's way above anything that you see in India. And so we actually got some of that right into that program. So our program is extremely rich program. So that's our BNS program. Now, BNS program, like MBA, also has all our programs are choice based, but the BMS program comes with specialization, majors and minors. So you can
Okay.
do a major in analytics and minor in HR. You can do, so there are lots of combinations that are possible. So that's our BMS program. Let me come back to the BBA honors program. We run right now 2 BBA honors program, 1 BBA honors program. So the way our BBA honors are different, as opposed to the BMS, where you can actually pretty much go and then do any specialization you want, HR, finance, marketing, analytics, and then you can do the combination. We want to have those people for BBA honors who actually figured it out. Finance is for me. So those people who think finance is for them, we have, somebody was asking about SEMA. The competition for SEMA, and we used to have the SEMA too, the competition for SEMA is CMA. Our BBA honors in strategic finance is completely aligned with CMA. We provide all the courses that are aligned with them. People finish all the courses by the 4th semester of their BBA honors in strategic finance program, the last semester, and then they begin to write external exams by the end of the 1st year itself. Our idea is that before they graduate, they should have the world-class professional qualification in their hand, provided they can do the hard work.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Nothing. There's no shortcut in life.
Yeah,
There's no shortcut, right?
Exactly. I'm glad you brought up the hard work part. Great.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
The other thing I want to talk about that we are recently launching, and there are very few universities that have that. So we are among the top league there. Although we are a new university, not many people know about us. So we have this program called BBA Honors in Accounting that we are starting this year. It is aligned with ACCA. Now, ACCA, some people would know, ACCA is accounting body like ICAI. We have a CA qualification in India. ACCA provides similar qualification in the UK. As opposed to the qualification in India, ACCA Chartered Accounting qualifications, that signature is valid in more than 70 countries worldwide.
Beautiful.
Okay, so here's what happens with us. You come and you do that BBA Honors in Accounting with us. In the 6 semesters, we would cover all 13 courses that are part of the ACCA, out of which 6 courses you do with us, for which you don't have to write external examination, you get waiver. This is called full integration.
Okay.
7 courses, we prepare you, the credit is actually counted towards your honors program, but then you can also go ahead and then you are expected to write the external examination, but we help you prepare for it. We provide 40 hours of teaching for each of those courses. In addition to that, ACCA qualified people come and provide 30 hours per course extra teaching on that. For both BB honors courses, all international material is provided. Online access to community is provided. Now, this is not the kit, right? So we also have the ACCA. ACCA is tied up with the University of London. So once you complete all 13 papers of the ACCA, you can just write an external project, pay £300, which is about 30,000 rupees or so, to the University of London, and then write that extra project, and that gives you MS in Finance.
Oh wow! Okay, so you bypassed and circumvented a whole bunch of
Yeah.
stuff.
So you can actually get University of London. So the idea here is this: that you are with us for 3 years. You have done your BBA Honors in Accounting. You are on your path to get the ACCA certification. You'll become sort of chartered accountant for the rest, for the big part of the world.
Yeah.
And then you're also on path to complete your University of London MS in Finance degree. So you could do that. So that's amazing.
Okay.
This is not just it, right? I'll come to BBA now. BBA. So our BBA, the difference on our BBA and then most of the places that I see in India is this. Our BBA comes with several options. They're choice-based. So you get electives. So for example, the introduction to analytics, Vadhvani Foundation entrepreneurship courses, so that you can actually get certificate. The Vadhvani Foundation entrepreneurship courses, they are designed by the world's best faculty. They have the learning management system. We are one of the only 5 universities that are, or institutes that are eligible to provide Vadhvani Foundation entrepreneurship courses in, and then these programs are available to all our programs, including up to MBA. Okay. Now, because the way we deliver these programs and because our curriculum is internationally benchmarked, you would be surprised to know this. There are several universities in the US which we're talking to. 2 of them have already agreed. One is the California Baptist University, and another we are just about to sign with Creighton in Georgia. our BBA or BMS, or so that the BMS student, they get the waiver, they can actually get the lower CGPA as well, they're still eligible. But BBA honors and BBA students are also eligible to direct admission into MBA program after 3 years undergrad in India, in US. Otherwise, US usually seeks 4 years undergrad programs.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, but then that's not the case with us. In fact, some of our bright undergrads can directly go into accelerated 1-year MBA program in the US after just 3 years with us.
Okay, so I just want to recap that to get clarity. So you've kind of tied up with 2 institutions in the United States,
Sure.
where if I'm a BBA student and I have done very well for myself,
Sure.
I can apply directly for an MBA,
Absolutely.
bypassing like the work experience and all that jazz that's required.
So that is not required. You don't have to write any GRE, GMAT, nothing, only English tests. So either IELTS
okay.
or TOEFL, that's it.
Okay, and if I am very bright, say like I'm the top 2, top 10, top whatever,
Yep.
then I bypass that MBA degree of 2 years also, and I can just do an accelerated 1-year program. Have I got it under right?
Absolutely.
Wow, okay, wonderful. That's great. So that kind of speeds it up for a lot of people. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and then in addition to that, we are also actually tying up with some other universities for 2+2. So you can actually do 2 years with us, and then you can actually migrate to the US and do 2 years there for undergrad.
Nice.
So they actually take our credits for transfers because we are CBCS, and our curriculum is completely internationally benchmarked, as I talked about. So that was the benefit that I had because I was coming from UAE and US. I taught there, so I could actually bring that benefit to the institute.
Yeah.
The other university that we are also talking to one university in Australia, Newcastle. We are talking to one university in the UAE, so and one university in Singapore. So by the time this batch, which is coming in, that batch graduates, we would probably have at least about 4 or 5 relationships where these people could actually look for either the MBA, so we call it pathway degrees. They provide you pathway to the foreign degrees, either from undergrad to the MBA or from undergrad to undergrad. So you can do 1+3, you can do 2+2, you can do 3+1, or you can do directly 3+ MPG.
Wow. Okay. That's really because that for a lot of Indian students that tends to be the challenge because they have that 4-year degree requirement and then they spend a lot of time trying to be able to do the GMAT and the work experience, and
Absolutely.
so anything that kind of bypasses that and allows them that opportunity is wonderful. Okay, great.
So if you want to go to UK, that's all done because UK still takes your 3-year degree, but US has a problem, and then because of how we teach and how much we teach, which means that we actually keep you on toes for 3 years.
Great. No, that's the way B school should be. That's the way B school should be, and that's how a management degree or a business school should be. You have to be able to do that. I'm really glad to hear that there is an actually distinctive, difference between your BBA program and your BMS program, and it's really nice because it's important to not just have the nomenclature differences. It's really great to be able to have distinctive features. That's wonderful to know. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
The other thing that some people are asking are about the internships, and so in addition to that, I would also want to talk about usually people think that you're providing all of this, that means that this is going to be a very costly program. We take excessive pride in the fact that we give internationally benchmarked qualifications. So our motto at the university is we are Central India's global university, and for the management school we talk about that we are internationally, so our aim is to provide internationally benchmarked quality education and management. So that's where we go. Now,
lovely.
We take pride in doing this, which is very affordable. When you actually look at the price that we have for the 3 years BMS program or the BBA program or the BBA honors program, program in commerce, very affordable courses, access support. Coming back to the internship, we strongly believe that if you are not going to get something where you get the experiential learning from being able to do, particularly in management. So I come from engineering. You're talking about MNIT Jaipur, right? That's my engineering background. And I see the difference between engineering knowledge and in the management knowledge. In engineering or science, there is a theory that applies.
Yeah.
And there are answers which are more or less similar answer or exact answer in mathematics.
Right.
As opposed to that in management, there are multiple theories that may actually be relevant to a situation. So you need to develop art that comes from an experience in terms of which theory actually applies better.
Correct.
So we believe in experiential learning. All our programs have internship requirements, particularly the BBA honors program and the BMS program. They require 2 months internships after fourth semester, and the group projects, which is also could be internship based after after the first year, the second semester. But that's not only it. We have all our programs up till MBA. Last semester, we call it industry immersion semester.
Okay.
In that semester, we have about 15 or 12 or 15 credit worth of electives. So students can either do the electives. Somebody was asking about the paid internship, but we do provide opportunities. We were the only university in Central India in the COVID time when we actually had the virtual job fairs and virtual internship fairs. All our students are currently doing internships.
How lovely.
Yeah,
That's
and
nice.
then with all big companies.
Okay.
So what we do here, that we actually provide this industry immersion, and that comes as a credit. So people who actually go for either a pre-placement kind of, or a the 6 months internships kind of, or the industry immersion kind of thing. So that provision is available. We take that as a credit, we convert it into credit towards the degree courses, and people are allowed to go in the last semester. We in fact encourage people to find paid internship, paid consulting engagement, and things like that, so that they can actually be ready. And then even something that would lead to the job. I have to say this, that several of our students, after BMS particularly, they don't go directly for MBA. Although there is one student who's actually going to IIM Indore right after BMS. But most of them actually end up choosing jobs. They go, they work, and we encourage them to work, even for pathway abroad. If they want to go to California, we tell them that's for you. It's going to stay there. So go take a job. Let's go and do the job for 2 years. Once you have enough experience, then apply into the universities which will take transfers. Some people were asking about our MBA. Our MBA is no less. That's what I would say. We have our MBA. So if we provide what we provide in BMS, you can begin to think about the MBA, right? Harvard cases, articles. By the way, for all our programs, except for the BBA, we have online book banks. Although we do provide certain books to BBA too, with McGraw-Hill's books. So the online book bank, the smart books, business simulation, the Harvard cases, articles, book chapters, the field visits. We have lots of people who on our faculty who have worked earlier in the industry, people who have connections. So I think every month we get about 2 or 3 or up to about 5 people who come into classes to talk to everybody, the CEOs, the CXOs, the general managers, our alums. They are more than willing to actually come and then talk to their friends and tell them about the experiences and what to do.
Lovely. Great.
Okay,
great.
somebody was asking about the entrance examinations, other kinds of things. Okay, so good. We are going to soon have an entrance examination, which is the good news. Right now, the fact is that at this point in time, we don't have entrance examination. About the eligibility, eligibility technically remains 50%, but there's no guarantee. It's all about, we are also choosy. We are becoming more choosy as the time is progressing. People are learning about what we have. We do provide wonderful scholarships. So people who, and these scholarships come on 2 bases. The eligibility criteria for a scholarship is your 12th marks, or if you have any, so for MBA, if you have any entrance examination of national level, and if you have any good ranking from there, you are eligible for scholarships. So that's about entrance. Of course, as I think Abhishek and Shruta both talked about these things, extracurricular activities, not just the academic interest, the basic cognitive skills, your ability to think with reasons, identify the logic in the thinking process. So all those things do matter in terms of your admissions.
Okay, great. There's a question. Oh, wow, okay, that's a long question. Hold on.
So they are saying that most of the Indian schools are headed by non-management professionals. So that's not true. I worked with KPMG. I worked with KPMG in South Africa, KPMG in India. I worked with PwC in India. I actually brought a consulting firm from UK to India before I decided to do my PhD. So I come from there, having a greed of earning money. Okay, so simply people talk about earning money here. I have to tell you this. We have a social impact club and social entrepreneurship certificate. I personally also sit on some of the boards of NGOs here. Even one of the NGOs where I am a sponsor as well has done phenomenal work for rural education, digitalizing rural education in India. So that's not true. In fact, I was talking to a student of mine from Ohio State who went on to work with McKinsey and has since quit. He's probably going to become a lawyer soon. She was an undergrad, and she recommended her for Harvard as well. She is actually thinking about creating a new index, impact index, so that we can actually judge NGOs based on their impact. So don't think, I mean, I think Shilpa and Abhishek both emphasize this. Management is everywhere.
Yeah. Dr. Rao,
you can use it for the greed of money, but you can also use for the larger good.
Absolutely. Dr. Rao, I'd just like to add, and I think Abhishek has some very important questions for you, sir, that you need to be able to answer also for our students.
Yes,
Dr. Rao, I'd just like to be able to add to that unfortunate that in certain scenarios in the education system that has happened for some people where management school or even any education institution has become only a process of earning money, and it has done that. But I don't think you should assume that that might be the case with everybody, and that's why it becomes very important also to actually look at the variety of work that that an institution is doing. So like Dr. Khare mentioned, like in terms of social responsibility or in terms of CSR, in terms of what are the kind of things they're doing to be able to give back, whether it is digitizing things, whether it is reaching out to rural populations, and actually really being able to do a very strong due diligence on any institution before either going to study there or recommending it to anybody. And to be able to do that, that the due diligence, it's important to do that really purely because in an organization, and for all the students who are online, please remember, we talk about this to you when we talk to you about your interview skills, is you're going to begin a relationship with this institution. So it's very important that you get to know about them before you begin this 3-year, 4-year relationship based on what you're doing. And we ask 5 questions of people who we're going to interact with otherwise. Who's going to come to fix a Tata Sky in your house, or who's going to do something. We ask them, who are you, where are you coming from, what are you doing? You should be asking a lot of questions of the institution as well, and be able to do that due diligence. So yeah, Abhishek, over to you. I know you have a lot of questions. Yeah.
Perfect. Actually, ma'am, sir, I think is very good at anticipating. He pretty much answered all the questions I have for him. But I have one particular thing in mind which I want to ask. So can you quickly, I have seen a lot of questions about, and in fact, I'm glad you explained how the international curriculum and collaboration work, which I think everybody looks forward to. One important aspect I want to understand is that, can you quickly explain that how the admission process is working right now for university? If someone wants to apply right now, how does this work?
Fantastic. I think so. This is very easy. You can actually get on online. You can come to the Jagran portal for admission. You can fill in your application form there. Once your application form is filled in, we have the admission team that looks at every day the new application form that they receive. Then they schedule your interviews. Before that, during the application forms, so filling in the application form itself involves you sharing with us a lot of information about yourself in terms of your 12th results, in terms of your extracurricular activities and things like that. We are scheduling lots of online interviews with our faculty members. Faculty members know ahead of time that you would be interviewing with them. Admission office coordinates with it, and then you have typical interview process. That interview process would involve anything. It depends on the faculty members. They can ask you questions. They can test your cognitive abilities. They can ask you about the extracurricular activities. They can evaluate you on your interpersonal skills. They can evaluate you. So the thing that we actually look for, and I have to tell you this, we are willing to give anybody a benefit of doubt and a chance, provided we see commitment to hard work. It goes back to what you're saying.
True.
We are
Absolutely.
not so much worried about what have you accomplished so far as much as what fire you have in your belly, what commitments you have. If you are coming here for an insincere engagement with your education, that's not the place to be. But if you're coming here to actually make your career, help other people discover themselves, build something for over 3 years that will serve you a lifetime, whether you have your business, you want to go back to that, whether you want to work, whether you want to go for higher studies, anything that you want to do, we want to seek those people who are committed to building themselves.
Wonderful. There is
Several people actually don't cope up with us, who people come with the casual attitudes, and we don't stop them from leaving.
No, that's brilliant. I just have one quick question. I think Ishika has posted, which is a very valid point, and I also wanted to know.
Admissions are open currently. Somebody is asking there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think 12th mark results, like the 12th results are not completely out. There's still some pending board. So what is currently happening for at JLU? Like, what do I apply with a predicted score?
Yeah, so
or
the people who actually apply, yeah, so fair enough. The people who actually apply now who do not have the valid 12th grade results, they are interviewed. If they qualify for admissions, the admissions are given, conditional admissions are given. We do wait for the mark sheets to come in. And we understand. I mean, I'm telling you that we are the only one who actually did online teaching, online exams, online job fairs, online internships. You can imagine that we are very progressive.
Correct. So I would be able to apply with my pre-board results.
Absolutely, you can.
Okay, great. So Ishika, I hope that answers that question for you. You would use your pre-board marks right now to apply, and it would be a conditional admission, just like you would get if you were applying abroad. And you would be able to do that, and hope you meet the conditions and of getting the results.
People who have SAT scores and other kinds of scores, we actually do provide scholarships on that too.
Oh, great. So SCT scores and other standardized tests, if you have those, you can check out the website to be able to see. So there is actually even scholarships based on that, which is wonderful. So that's great stuff. Great. Good. Okay.
That's excellent. Perfect. So thank you so much for that. And I think I didn't have even those many questions. You explained it really well about the university, and I'm very excited to discuss further with you later on as well. And to be very honest, even I would want you to go to the website and see the curriculum. I'm sure it's amazing. And with the things that sir has explained, thank you so much, sir. It was great having you here today.
Yes, absolutely.
So Abhishek, thank you so much. Shilpa, thank you so much. It was my pleasure to join you on the panel. I would want to tell everybody, as Abhishek was saying, please go to the website, type Jagran Lake City University. You will get to the website. Go to the website, go to business school or commerce school or whatever school that you want to go to, and then check out all our programs there. People are asking about hospitality, hotel management, and everything else. We have lots of those combinations.
Super. Thank you so much. That's just wonderful for you to have shared that. Is it my connectivity or is everybody kind of?
Ma'am, I think now we can hear you, but there's something your video is prepared or something else.
Yeah, we kind of just.
That is okay, ma'am. No problem. Thank you so much, Shilpa, ma'am, as well. Ma'am, you have to say something. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm done. I was just trying to figure out that we'd all said what we needed to. Thank you to everybody who was here listening to us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Just check out the website, and please, if you have any doubts or questions, reach out to us at hello@mindler.com, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. I think the webinar will get uploaded onto the YouTube channel as well. You'll be able to do that. In case you would like to be able to log on to Mindler's website, you can also do a career assessment and find out what the best 5 matches for you are if you haven't already done so. And in case you'd like to be able to talk to us or get a counseling session done, that's also a possibility. We'd be able to help you make the best career choices for you and the course choices as well. I hope Abhishek is still there, otherwise I've kind of just...
Yeah, I'm here.
No, Abhishek is still there. I'm also still there.
Yeah, I'm
Super.
here. Okay. No, thank you so much, Shilpa ma'am, as well. It was great to hear from you also. And students, please, like ma'am mentioned, please write to us whatever doubts you might have about the career, but any kind of question that you might have. We do understand you might be anxious. Everyone is at this point of time, I can safely say. So please don't worry. You can reach out to us for whatever doubts you might have. We're more than willing to answer. You want to get in touch with sir, we can get it arranged for you that as well. So I took the liberty of doing that. I hope. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening and please take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Pleasure interacting with you, Dr. Kari. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves.
I look forward to connecting with you.
Absolutely. Take care. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.